Hi, everyone. I'm still in my Halloween attire, so please forgive. I was a Ninja Turtle. But welcome to this week's assignment. So this week is a little bit different than last week in that the majority of this week's assignment, or the whole thing, is in one document. It'd be cool if I could zoom. Hang on, sorry. Why is it not letting me do that? There we go. Okay. So it's all contained on this Google Doc. So you have your writing your college essay, It's Gotta Be You article due Monday night, and the rest of this week's assignments will all be within this one Google Doc. So you'll see here at the top that this entire document completed is due November 6th, which is Friday at 11:59 p.m. So I want to walk through the instructions with you because they might seem a little confusing at the beginning. So let me start here. You'll notice here, each day has a different essay. Tuesday has an essay. Wednesday has an essay. Thursday, and Friday. So please follow so you don't get behind. Don't wait and do this all Friday night. You're going to hate yourself. Do this on the days that they are assigned. Of course, I'm not collecting this this document until Friday night, but I suggest that you go along with the pacing so that you are not bogged down Friday night having to map 4 essays. It's going to take a long time to do that. But you'll see that each day has a different prompt and a different essay. And these are real college essays submitted by real high school seniors that I'm going to have you map so you can look at them in terms of being examples or models for what your essay should look like at the end of this unit. But what even is essay mapping? So let's take a look. So in the instructions, I have an example prompt for you. And hopefully this looks familiar to you because this was the one that we did in the first week of this unit where you had to come up with the failure and talk about how it helps you grow and expand. So for each of the following essays, remember there's going to be one per day. Can you tell my brain's like one per day, one essay per day. For each of the following essays, you will map the responses in accordance to the prompt. Remember to chunk each prompt, breaking it down into multiple questions in order to analyze what the prompt is truly asking you to do. It does not matter what colors you choose. So here's an example. Of course, the prompt that you're going to be given for each day of the week doesn't have these highlights yet. But what I want you to do is look at how you can chunk this. How many topics are in here? And for this example, I chose 3. So each chunk has a different color. In my first chunk, I wanted to describe an event or moment in which I was less than perfect, explain to the reader what my response to that moment was, and what that says about my character or values. So essentially, I felt that this prompt was asking me to do 3 things, which is why I highlighted it in 3 different colors. After you highlight and chunk, it doesn't have to be 3. It's not always going to be 3. Sometimes it'll be 2. The minimum 2. There isn't really one with 1. So you should have 2 to 3 different colors. How many things is this prompt asking you to do? After that, you're going to write question statements underneath the prompt that you chunked and highlighted, basically restating the prompt in question form. So, same prompt as before, 1-pager description of an event in which you were less than perfect and explain to the reader your response to that moment says about your character or values. Now you're basically taking those chunks that you highlighted and rewriting them as questions. See this part here in green, describe an event or moment when you were less than perfect. I rewrote that as a question. Can you describe a moment when you were less than perfect? This part 2 in blue that I chunked, explain to the reader what your response to that moment was. I chunked that in here. Explain what the failure was. What did you do? How did you overcome it? And then lastly, that orange chunk says about your characters or values. I rewrote that as this question here. What does overcoming that obstacle reveal about you? So however many colors you have in your prompt, however many colors you chunked it, 2 to 4, mostly 2 to 3 will probably be what you find, should be the same number of questions. Same number of color chunks as your same number of questions. After that, you're going to go through the actual essay presented. I'll show you an example of this in a second. And you're going to highlight portions of the essay that you believe correspond with the color chunks you identified in your prompt. So if you believe part of the essay was going over the description of an event in which the author was less than perfect, you're going to highlight that section of the essay in green. If you believe part of the essay is explaining to the reader what the response to that failure was, you're going to highlight that portion of the essay in blue, etc., etc. Sounds like a lot. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So, as you see here, I have the prompt chunked already, same prompt as the beginning of this example, and I have the questions here. Now, here's the sample essay. So I went through here and I was like, okay, so at 14, I wasn't very good at it. Oh, okay, so that I believe relates to the green chunk I identified here, description of the event. So we got a description in terms of him being 14. And you'll see at the end of each paragraph, I have a comment made on the Google Doc. And what you are required to do, as you'll see here in step 4, is comment at the end of each paragraph explaining the significance of that paragraph. Why is that paragraph there? And as you see in my example, it could be something like, this paragraph establishes the setting. This paragraph engages the reader with a vivid picture with detail. But you'll see throughout this essay, right? This is the sample essay. I have green highlights, blue highlights, and orange highlights. And those different color highlights correspond with those same highlights that I have in the prompt that I chunked. Green, description of an event. Anything here that I believe was describing the event is going to be green. So we're seeing the connection between the essay response back to the prompt, right? We're looping it back. Explain to the reader what the response was to that moment. Well, and when I was reading it, I felt like this part was the response. So that's why I highlighted it in blue. And then of course, in orange was what does that say about your character or values? That's what I saw here when I chunked it in orange. So that's all going to be there for you. So let's look at Tuesday's example. So for Tuesday's, the prompt is evaluate a significant experience, achievement, risk you have taken, or ethical dilemma that you have faced and its impact. Remember, this isn't you're not writing to this prompt. The sample essay is given to you. However, what you need to do is go through here and decide how many chunks there are. Okay, so let's say, for example, this was the one I was doing. So I would say that there's 2 here. So the first part that I noticed is evaluating a significant experience, achievement, or risk. Okay, so I would, as a writer, have to address that first part of the prompt. The second part that I see is, what does it say about you? What was its impact? So for this question chunk, I may say, what was a significant experience? And for the second part, how did this experience impact you? So you'll see that I rewrote these chunks within the prompt that were statements, right? These are statements. They're telling you to do something. Now they're rewritten as questions. So as I go through this essay, I should be able to find instances where a significant experience was related, right? In the same part that I highlighted in yellow. And I'm going to highlight those parts of the essay in yellow. Then I should see that the writer of this essay discusses her impact, or the impact that this event had on her. And I should see parts of this essay where she's impacted and highlight those in green. And remember, each paragraph needs one comment where you explain the significance of this paragraph. Why is it there? Does it establish the setting? Does it reveal the impact? Does it show how the author grew? One sentence for these paragraphs, one sentence for these comments, but each paragraph needs a comment. Lastly, you'll see that at the end, you have a response to it. So each of these essays I got from Stanford. So each of these essays has a admissions officer talking about how they view the essay. So you're going to watch this video and then respond to these questions in here. And each essay is going to have that same thing. Another prompt here for you to chunk, questions, and the essay itself that you're going to color coordinate with your prompt, and comment on each paragraph and its significance, and respond to the sample essay, the questions at the bottom of each essay. And you'll do this for all 4 days of the week. And at the end of the week, you're going to hit submit. So make sure you do not hit submit on this document until you are finished with Friday's essay, or else you won't be able to access it again. So if you have questions on this essay or on this assignment, please, please, please reach out to me. Email me. We can set up Zoom. Come to the Zoom tutorial on Wednesdays at 1:30. Link is in the agenda, and I'm more than happy to help you on this assignment. All right, you guys, take care.